This is Squawk Pod. I'm CNBC producer Katie Kramer. Today on our podcast, Lady Gaga, the master entertainer, is speaking out about rebuilding community post-pandemic in a conversation you'll hear only on Squawk Pod.
One of the most important things that we must reestablish is community. I've always believed in community. I believe in a kind community. And I believe that community is one of the ways that we're really going to pull ourselves out of the mental health crisis that is occurring as a result of COVID-19.
The COVID safety initiative she's backing to get us back to concerts again, and what it was like singing at the presidential inauguration.
I think it was perhaps the biggest crowd I've ever performed for in my life. I can say truly that the heart of the Capitol was beating, and it was beating strongly.
Next on Squawk Pod, Lady Gaga, entertainer extraordinaire on getting through this pandemic as a community.
I have to say the hardest thing for me has been watching the pain that this has caused the world. It's a disaster in the way that it has separated us, the way that we've had to be apart in order to be whole.
And what it was like singing at the inauguration. We'll be right back.
Would you like me to call you Becky or call you Rebecca?
Call me Becky. Call me Becky, and I call you Lady Gaga, right?
Okay, yeah, call me LG.
Okay, well, I can do that. Lady Gaga, I want to thank you for being here. I have to say, I was a little surprised to hear your involvement with this because I know you have lots of charities that you do, but this one's a little unusual. Tell me why you got into it.
Well, you know what? Thank you so much for having me. Well, Becky, I like to always make sure that I'm working in the service of the global community and kindness. And, IWBI's science-backed protocols are something that I immediately took to. I think that, during a global pandemic of the proportions that we've just witnessed, one of the most important things that we must reestablish is community. I've always believed in community. I believe in a kind community. And I believe that community is one of the ways that we're really going to pull ourselves out of the mental health crisis that is occurring as a result of COVID-19.
Yeah, I hear that. I can't wait to get back to people and maybe give people a hug at some point too. But the music industry in particular has been hit pretty hard. Live events have been canceled for nearly a year. And we've talked to a lot of people on the show who've suffered from that. People like the lighting artists, the makeup artists, the caterers, behind the scenes people. These people have been without work for a really long time. What have you seen? What have you heard?
I mean, it's been absolutely disastrous for the lives of many people. There's simply no jobs for them to have. There's no concerts for them to work. That goes everything from cleaning the spaces to concession stands to working behind the scenes to build sets. Sporting events are not the same anymore. Entertainment events are not the same anymore. But what's really great about what the Well Building Institute has done is that, places like Yankee Stadium are going to be able to have a well health safety seal, and you'll be able to go and see performers that you love, as well as see the Yankees, who are my favorite team.
Your dad owns a restaurant in New York City, right?
Yes, he does. It's called Joanne. It's a wonderful restaurant, and he's very, very proud of it. And I'm so very proud of it as well.
How's he doing through all of this? I know restaurants in cities everywhere have been hit pretty hard.
It's been very difficult for my father, and, we're a family, but my father's always been very proud to have his own business and work very hard on his own. And it had really been suffering. It's been very difficult, but he's not the only one. And he understands that. He's also a man of community, and he cares a lot about the restaurants in the neighborhood as well. So, I really wish my best wishes to everyone that owns small businesses. And I really hope that the Well Health Safety Rating, being put on the windows and the doors of these buildings will help really inspire people to feel safe to go out into the world again. And then, like I said, rebuild that community spirit. Once we start to rebuild that community spirit, we can rebuild ourselves.
Is this plan working with small businesses, large businesses? What have you heard so far about how it's going to be rolled out?
Well, what I know about it so far is that there's 1.4 billion square feet that are enrolled in well offerings, and we're approaching 1 billion square feet of real estate with 100 leading organizations, 8,500 facilities. So it's moving in the right direction. And I think that the most important thing to remember is that we've been inside for a long time at the recommendations of the government and the CDC. And as we start to see that places have, a well seal of approval, we'll be able to go back and live our lives more like we used to. And I think that this is essential. That, what really drew me to IWBI in general was that this is essential work. And in terms of everything that's happening in the world right now, even with vaccinations rolling out, and making sure that only essential people get vaccinated first, these are the types of things that I really care about.
Hey, LG, what's been the hardest for you through this? What have you missed the most?
I have to say the hardest thing for me has been watching the pain that this has caused the world. I mean, watching families suffer, being away from each other, watching people lose family members, not being able to go to the hospital to be with people that are sick. It's a disaster in the way that it has separated us. The way that we've had to be apart in order to be whole. It's an epic disaster. But I do believe that we have also witnessed bravery unlike I've maybe ever known in my generation, other than during September 11th. I mean, I'm from New York. I was there when the Twin Towers were hit. And that same kindness that I saw in New York City is something that I do see in the world right now, and we need to stick together. And I'm a part of this IWBI advertising because I believe in it, and I think it's super important. And if we don't do work like this, how are we going to know what's safe? How can we make good decisions? How can we work together? I think this is a sign that we're going to start working together.
Yeah, I think that's great, and I certainly hope so too. I loved your performance at the inauguration. I have to ask you, what was it like singing to such a small crowd? That's not really the norm for you.
Oh, I didn't think that crowd was small in any way.
It felt so different from TV because we couldn't hear the background noise, but you sounded amazing.
It was the great honor of my life to sing the national anthem between POTUS 45 and 46. I in no way felt that was a small crowd. I think it was perhaps the biggest crowd I've ever performed for in my life. And I can say truly that the heart of the Capitol was beating, and it was beating strongly.
The Super Bowl's coming up too. And I was thinking back to your performance in 2017. And the question I've always been wanting to ask you is, how in the heck did you have the guts to jump in from the roof? I almost threw up when I watched you do it.
Well, you know what? I don't know. I guess I always like a challenge, and some of the challenges to me, it's funny. I look back on moments like that on my life, and I think that at the time I thought, well, here we go. And this is going to be very difficult. But as I've gotten older, I'm 34 now, I'm faced with different types of challenges that have much deeper meaning to me. And, working alongside the World Health Organization with Global Citizen, for example, during the beginning of the COVID-19 crisis, it's part of what led me here to talking about, an independent health and safety rating, because, this is essential work. I'm not saying that it's not essential that I play at the Super Bowl, but it's much more essential. I think that we, raised money at the beginning of the year. I spent 6 to 7 weeks with House of Gaga and my partner, Michael, raising $150 million for the World Health Organization for the Solidarity Fund. And this is something that we care deeply about.
So I take it you're really happy to hear that the United States is rejoining the World Health Organization at this point with the new administration?
Yeah, I am a firm believer in Dr. Tedros and all his work. So yes.
One thing just in the business world to ask you about, we've seen so many artists with incredible legacies like Bob Dylan and Neil Young who've sold their catalogs recently. You think that's something that your generation of artists looks to as a possible future? Are you watching what they're doing and kind of taking note?
I'm sorry. I think we have to wrap it up now. Sorry about that.
Okay. LG, I want to thank you for your time and the work that you're doing on this. I think it's incredibly important. And I think you doing it gets a younger generation to really pay attention to this stuff too. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Becky. And thank you for having me. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me about the importance of building community with the Well Health Safety Rating as a science-based strategy that we can implement together. I'm looking forward to talking to you again in the future and continue to raise awareness about IWBI and its partnerships with many other entertainers and performers that care so much about the world.
Let's hope we're all back out there watching performances and getting everybody back to work soon and just getting
Can't wait to dance with you.
Okay, thanks a lot. We appreciate your time.
Okay.
I'll be there.